and welcome to the channel. If you've watched any previous videos, thanks for coming back. If this is the first one you've watched, I'm Andy, I'm an ultra cyclist on the south coast of the UK. The videos I make are usually about endurance riding and training, so if you have no interest in custom painted bikes, feel free to skip this one, subscribe, follow along. I'll be making plenty of videos about endurance riding. So yeah, this will be a little bit different. I'm going to show the end-to-end process of getting your bike custom painted, in my case by Fat Creations, they're quite close to me. Don't worry, you won't need to listen to me rabbit on the whole time. I was sent videos all the way through the process, every single step, so I'll let Al from Fat Creations do most of the talking. I'll hand over to him in a minute. So if you don't know who Fat Creations are, I'll put some links to them in the description, their Instagram and YouTube. They're based on the south coast of the UK. It's Al and Bex. So I've got no affiliation with Fat Creations at all, just to make that clear. As of making this, I've only made a few videos, but I enjoy making the videos. I've received lots of videos throughout the process from Al on WhatsApp, every step of the way. I was really surprised by how much work went into the finished product. If you didn't receive those videos throughout, you really probably wouldn't know. For my Tarmac, the colour wasn't too bad really to begin with, but when I bought it, it wasn't the colour I wanted. It was the only one that was available. So I've been speaking to Al on WhatsApp for about the last 2 years, working out what to have done and basically trying to get over the line and commit and get it booked in. So the original plan, I'd seen on Instagram a few times. He produced really lovely bikes that were a candy red marble paint job with gold leaf lettering. I completely fell in love with that. That was the plan originally, but because he's not too far from where I live, I went in to see him and chat it over and drop the bike off. Once I dropped the bike off, I had time then to change my mind and decide what I really wanted. In the studio at the time, I saw his own mountain bike. He had copper leaf logos on his, and it looked far better. I actually saw some gold leaf there as well, and changed my mind on the gold leaf. Really, really nice. In my opinion, when it's finished, it kind of just looked like gold paint to me, whereas the copper leaf had a real texture about it, like a real material, like a real natural material. So that's what I really wanted. I also saw someone else's bike just being finished in a different colour. It's called Chroma Coat Fireball. I had to have it. So I would say if you're considering this and you're anywhere near to the south of the UK, try and pop in if you can. Once you drop the bike off, you've probably got time to change your mind and have a good think about it. And in my case, I ended up with something completely different to what I'd originally wanted. I'm sure I love the red and the gold leaf. The gold kind of has a kudos to it, but in my opinion now, what I've been left with, the copper leaf, is far better. I actually spent about 2 hours in there with him. Probably half an hour talking about the paint job, an hour and a half just chatting about mountain biking and road biking, and really cool place and decent bloke. So I'll show you now what the bike did look like in blue. I think it was pretty nice really, but not quite what I wanted. Then I'll pass you on to Al to show you all of the different steps, from stripping it back to bare carbon, to all of the different coats, applying the copper leaf and the finished product. Enjoy!
Strip back to bare, Andy. So we'll probably get that in primer this afternoon. So worst case scenario, we'll be ready for colour on it on Monday. Right, so that 320 stage was to get the tubes dead flat. So there's always slight wobbles in carbon tubes. So the first coat of primer is a sacrificial coat of primer. So now everything's dead flat, which is even more important with the paint colour you're going for. All the chroma coat colours really rely on the tubes being as flat as possible. The flatter you can get them, the more drastic the colour change effect is and the better it looks. Next stage is to use a 500 soft pad to get rid of some of these 320 scratches and leave it ready for hopefully what we call a wet on wet process, where we give it a final coat of primer, and if we're 100% happy with that coat of primer we start going straight over it with colour. That way we get the ultimate adhesion you can get from paints. So the gentle 500 all over. Only do this light, only take about 10 minutes. And then we get it cleaned and masked up and ready for its next primer. So it's all sanded back. Like I say, that sanding process was to get the tubes dead flat. You can see where we've almost taken, well we have, in some places the primer's completely gone, so that was a sacrificial primer. To get the tubes in perfect condition, ready for the paint. So that's finished, it's been cleaned, all the critical surfaces have been masked off, and now it's going to get a final fine coat of primer, and hopefully we can then go straight on that with a black base coat, and then it'll be ready for the fireball chroma coat. So we'll hopefully get the black base coat on in the next hour, then we put it out to dry off a bit, do any denibbing that's necessary on that black base coat, and then it'll be back in for the fireball stage. So it's in the black base coat now. I'm just going to run over it with 1200 wet and dry. This gets rid of any tiny pips that might be in this base coat. And it's going to be ready for the chroma coat colour. Right, it's been denibbed. Now I give it the lightest dusting of black, just to get it back to black. And then we're ready for the chroma coat colour. So the black is now flawless, which it has to be to get the best out of this chroma coat paint. Time for the magic.
So this is when things start getting pretty exciting. I followed their Instagram for years, like I said, watching paint jobs being finished, lacquer going on to paint, jaw-dropping transformations. So receiving these messages every few hours was pretty exciting, but about to watch the colour go onto my own frame, I was just beside myself. Not really sure if it's normal through the paint industry to send updates like this, but it made such a difference.
that's one coat. We give it at least 2 good coats, almost definitely always 3.
So at this point, I really thought it was finished. Receiving that video, the finish looked immaculate, amazing, but no, not by our standards.
One of the extra stages involved when you do any leaf work is an extra flat back of the whole job. So start with 600 wet and dry, basically flat back until it's all smooth, even over the copper. So they're all flatted back. Gonna let it sit till tomorrow now, and then do a tiny bit of going over the copper leaf and hopefully give it its final lacquer. So by doing this twice, we're guaranteed to get the best edge we possibly can. You can still never know if it's going to be absolutely perfect, but for example the S, we got away with this with one go. I wasn't satisfied with the S Works or the Tarmac. So for example, you look at the corner there and the edges of the S Works, you can see that it's the S there, whereas in other areas, like around here, it's perfect. And so when you give it a second go, all you need is to get these bits that aren't perfect, and it doesn't really matter if any of the other edges now that are perfect aren't perfect, because you've already covered those. So by doing it twice, you get your best shot at the best edges you can. Same with the fork. So now I just have to leave it an hour and I can start flopping. Tarmac logo is lovely now. Don't really still, just like now. And I'll just pan up and down. Flatten back your forks for their final coat of lacquer later today. And with the frames the same, so the frame's been flattened back. So later this afternoon or this evening, get its final coat of lacquer. Same with the fork, just a flat and a polish left now. Final stage on yours, Andy. I'll start with a 1500 wet and dry. So right now you've got a finish that you'd be completely satisfied with, and you wouldn't know that it could be any better than this. But we finish everything off with a flat and a polish. So if you look at, try and find an area where there's a bit of orange peel. I mean, it is very good, not unfortunately, but if you look at these spots of light, this one here for example, you can just see that it's wobbling a little bit as it goes up and down the frame. It's because there's a minute orange peel effect on the frame in the lacquer. So this stage is to get rid of that. Just flat the lacquer back till it's dead flat, basically.
This final step really blew my mind actually. Just when I thought the frame was completely for real finished. No, it wasn't. outfinds the tiniest little details to smooth out. Showing me the videos though of the lights moving up and down the frame, I can see it myself, but if I hadn't seen them, I'd never have appreciated how much extra work and labour goes into getting that completely mirror finish, and I appreciate it so much more now.
Get rid of that orange peel effect. Might show up a bit better. Look at this. Not much better, to be honest. Trust me, there's some orange peel there. There you can see it a little bit. You can see where the sandpaper has started to flat and there's low and high spots. Like I say, it is a very good finish, but we can do a little bit better. So this is part of that process. Stage. So now everything's dead flat. Next stage is to start to try and get rid of these 1500 scratches that some idiots put into it. So it's 2000 grit paper over the whole thing. 2000. It's 3000 on a pad. To get rid of those 2000 scratches. And it's 6000 to get rid of the 3000 scratches. Gradually getting shinier. So that's the frame finished, Andy. Now you can see these spots. Them lights don't wobble at all.
So there we go. That's the end-to-end process of how my bike was finished at Fat Creations. If you're anywhere near to the south coast of the UK or in UK in general, pop in if you can. It makes such a difference to go in and see where the magic happens. But I hope it's given a bit of an insight into the work that they do. It really surprised me. So hopefully you enjoyed it. A fraction of the amount I did being my frame. Anyway, see you out on the road. Take it easy.